Oh, hey historians! I'm here helping Mia clean out her attic today. Ugh, who knew robots could be such pack rats? There are hundreds of boxes up here. Oh, cool! This box is labeled 60s and 70s newspapers. Where'd you get these? April 1968, Martin Luther King Jr. assassinated. August 1970, 50,000 women march for equality in New York. June 1970, thousands march for LGBTQ rights in Chicago. All of these articles seem to be about landmark events in the fight for human rights. Let's go through these articles together so we can learn about how the fight for human rights changed after the 1960s and what each group's goals and achievements were in the 1970s. Whenever you see a new headline, head to your PDF to complete your guided viewing activity. Let's go! Okay, let's start with the articles about the civil rights movement. Before we dive in, what do you remember about the goals and strategies of the movement in the 1960s? Check out this headline: Successes of Nonviolence, the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and Voting Rights Act of 1965. In the 60s, the civil rights movement was focused on dismantling racial segregation and securing voting rights for Black Americans. Strategies to achieve these goals mostly involved nonviolent protesting. But by the 1970s, these goals and strategies significantly changed. In April 1968, Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated. How do you think King's death impacted the civil rights movement? Shock and anger over King's assassination sparked riots across the nation. To try to calm the outrage, President Johnson signed the Fair Housing Act, which prohibits housing discrimination, such as refusing to sell or rent to people based on their race or ethnicity. This act was something King advocated for in his final years. King's assassination caused many activists to question the effectiveness of nonviolence, leading some to turn to more militant strategies. The Black Power movement, which began in the 1960s, started to gain more attention in the 1970s. While most of the groups and individuals associated with the Black Power movement did not promote initiating violence against others, they advocated for armed self-defense against police brutality and racial violence. This militant stance, along with occasional confrontations with law enforcement, led to a strained relationship with the authorities and was seen by many in the broader civil rights movement as potentially harmful to their goals, creating a split within the movement. Economic empowerment and political representation were key goals of the Black Power movement, which advocated for the support of Black-owned businesses, the establishment of Black political organizations, such as the Black Panther Party, and the election of African American officials. The movement also led to significant achievements in community development and social welfare. Programs initiated by the Black Panther Party provided essential services and education, addressing needs that were often neglected in Black neighborhoods. The movement also encouraged African Americans to take pride in their heritage and identity. Black fashion, music, literature, and art redefined the perception of Black culture in America. Consider how the strategies of economic, political, and cultural empowerment represented a new phase in the ongoing struggle for racial equality. Which of these strategies do you think had the biggest impact? Let's move on to these articles about women's rights. Betty Friedan establishes National Organization for Women. Hey, we learned about her in Unit 11. Betty Friedan wrote The Feminine Mystique, which inspired the women's liberation movement. In the 1960s, this movement focused on fighting for legal equality, especially in the workplace, leading to legislation like the Equal Pay Act of 1963. By the 70s, the goals broadened to include challenging traditional gender roles and advocating for greater personal freedom, like the ability to independently open a bank account and access reproductive medical care. Oh, check out this headline. National Organization for Women Marches for Equality. Women continued to participate in mass demonstrations to fight for their rights, but they also began focusing on increasing their civic engagement and political representation, running for public office, and lobbying for legislation to secure their goals. So, both the Black Power movement and the women's liberation movement used political empowerment as a strategy to reach their goals. Why do you think gaining political representation was a common strategy for those fighting for human rights? Let's look at some of the achievements of the women's liberation movement. In the 1973 case Roe v. Wade, the Supreme Court ruled that the Constitution protects a woman's right to an abortion. Many people disagreed with or were outraged by this decision, but the women's liberation movement saw it as a milestone in the fight for reproductive rights and women's bodily autonomy. Abortion rights continue to spark significant debate today. Another significant achievement is highlighted in this headline. Efforts to pass the Equal Rights Amendment gain momentum. This was a proposed constitutional amendment that aimed to guarantee equal legal rights for all American citizens, regardless of gender. The primary goal was to eliminate legal distinctions between men and women in terms of divorce, property, employment, and other matters. Though the Equal Rights Amendment, or ERA, was never ratified, its widespread support and the debates it created marked a pivotal moment for women's rights. Moving on to our next headline, Equal Credit Opportunity Act passed. This act made it illegal to deny credit to someone based on gender. Before this law, women often struggled to get credit cards or loans without a male cosigner. This legislation was a huge step forward for financial independence and equality for women. As we reflect on these changes, it's clear how the women's liberation movement not only reshaped the legal landscape, but also transformed societal attitudes, paving the way for future generations to continue to fight for gender equality and women's rights. All right, Mia, I think all of the articles left in this box are about the fight for LGBTQ+ rights. Let's dive in. Before the 1970s, the LGBTQ+ community faced substantial legal and social discrimination. Homosexuality was classified as a mental illness by the American Psychiatric Association, and many states had laws that made being part of the LGBTQ+ community illegal. LGBTQ+ individuals often lived in secrecy and fear. Look at this headline. LGBTQ+ government employees targeted in Lavender Scare. The Lavender Scare was a period during the 1950s and 60s when the US government conducted investigations and dismissals of employees suspected of being part of the LGBTQ+ community. This reflected broader societal attitudes of the time and significantly affected the lives and careers of many individuals. Pause here to take a closer look at the Lavender Scare and its connections to the Red Scare in your PDF. But then came a big turning point, the Stonewall Riots of 1969. These started as protests against a police raid at the Stonewall Inn, an LGBTQ+ bar in New York City. These riots sparked the 1970s gay liberation movement. For the first time, a large group of LGBTQ+ people stood up publicly to demand equal rights. After Stonewall, the goals and strategies of the LGBTQ+ rights movement started to change, and the movement became more visible and organized. A major goal of the movement was to increase social acceptance and end discrimination against LGBTQ+ individuals. In 1973, the American Psychiatric Association removed homosexuality from its list of mental illnesses, which helped to begin changing public perception of the community. Another goal was to increase political representation and secure legislation to ensure that LGBTQ+ people were protected. In 1977, Harvey Milk became the first openly gay elected official in California. While it was a landmark achievement and a source of hope for many in the community, it also sparked significant backlash and resistance from those opposed to LGBTQ+ rights, underscoring the ongoing challenges faced by the movement. Like the other movements we've talked about, the community continues to fight for equality and fair treatment today. All right, Mia, I think we've gone through all of the articles. No, wait, there's something else in here. It's a book about the American Indian movement of the 1970s. Well, Mia and I need to get back to cleaning up this attic, but you'll learn all about this movement in the PDF activity. After going through these headlines, it's clear that the 70s were a decade of tremendous change and progress. Each of these movements has left a lasting impact on our society. And these stories are powerful reminders of the ongoing struggle for equality and justice. Remember, historians, the fight for rights and freedoms is a continuing journey, and each of us has a role to play in shaping a fairer world. Because remember, it's up to you to make history. Hey.